Omri, my brother-in-law, is a wonderful man. He's a shiatotherapist and a gardener in Kibbutz Nahal Oz. So we love to say that he heals people in the evening and heals plants during the day. We would spend a lot of time with my two baby nieces, Roni and Alma, because they wanted my sister to develop a career in Sapir College, which is the flagship college in our region in Israel, the Gaza envelope. Loves sports, loves literature, spiritual man who is connected to nature, very warm and loving, has a unique smile, a great sense of humor. We miss him dearly, and especially my sister, Lishai, and their two daughters, Ronnie and Alma.
Yeah, so he was taken from their home back in October. How is your sister? How are your nieces coping?
Yeah, we was kidnapped on October 7 in front of my sister, in front of his two baby daughters. They all were held captive for hours in Kibbutz Nahal Oz, abused. Part of it was live streamed on Facebook. They were grouped with a few other families in the kibbutz and sadly witnessed terrible things, including murder of members of the kibbutz and the burning of the kibbutz. My sister is trying to cope with the trauma of the violence she endured, coping with displacement. My entire immediate family is displaced. They all experienced October 7 to different degrees. So they're all coping with displacements around Israel right now. And she also advocates every day for Omri. Only last weekend, she was speaking in a big rally in Tel Aviv in front of thousands of people, voicing her pain, voicing her hope, and voicing our demands from our government and from the international community to find a formula to reach a solution for the hostage crisis.
Are your family being informed as to how Omri is?
We sadly have no information about Omri's well-being, about his whereabouts, his condition. The last we heard about him was 9 weeks ago, when some of the hostages who were released in the previous agreement between Israel and Hamas reported that they saw him in one of the tunnels, reported that he's alive. We know that he was moved around, but not more than that. We also learned that he luckily learned that my sister Lishai and their two daughters survived October 7. He didn't know that until very many weeks after the atrocities happened. So I hope that gave him strength. And we sadly don't know much, but we do get updates from the Israeli authorities all the time. We meet policymakers in Israel and the security apparatus representatives, but they have limited information to share with us.
Moshe, as you'll know, the Israeli Prime Minister has rejected the latest deal that was put on the table. How did you feel when you heard that?
So from our understanding, this was not a rejection. Hamas provided a counter proposal to the one Israel negotiated last week with different stakeholders like Qatar and the US. And we understand that negotiations are resuming now in Egypt and Cairo. So it's clear that the counter proposal Hamas gave is unacceptable to Israel. The US administration also voiced its concerns about the counter proposal. But we hope that they could find a solution, find a middle ground between the warring parties. We understand the geopolitical complexities. We understand that we are facing a terrorist organization that wants our destruction and are putting demands that are impossible for us to accept. But at the same time, we call our policymakers, our elected officials, and the international community to understand that prices will have to be paid for the failures of October 7, and that in order to truly bring together the Israeli society and respect the social contract that binds us, Israel will have to concede, make some concessions, and bring home the hostages.
Do you feel that in some regards the plight of the hostages and indeed their families who are anxiously waiting are being adequately addressed in this political process?
I think that the issue lays with the fact that from the first day after October 7th, we saw a toxic political discourse that is taking place in the palaces of justice, if you may, of international organizations like the UN or the ICRC, between governments. We didn't see a clear call for the release of the hostages from all members of the United Nations, as we expect. And so this issue became very political, and it shouldn't be, because it's a humanitarian issue, it's a multi-faith issue, it's an international issue, because hostages of different nationalities, different religions were kidnapped by Hamas and their accomplices. And now it's clear that it's part of the negotiations in regards to the entire conflict. And that's risky. It's risky for the hostages because it's imperative that they'll be taken out of the equation as soon as possible. They're going through torture there, they're going through abuse, violence, including sexual violence, the privation of food, water, sanitary conditions. So once they keep being held captive, and every second there is risking their lives.
Just finally, Moshe, your brother-in-law Omri has missed his youngest daughter starting to crawl. So many developments she's going through at a young age. How are you and your family coping at this time?
Yeah, it's been difficult. You miss so many things, small moments that are so important in the lives of toddlers, of a family. My sister actually wrote a letter to Omri that I translated and we published on CNN a few weeks ago, detailing what he missed. It's been difficult to cope with all that is going around, as I said earlier, with the trauma, with displacement, with other issues that are plaguing our family, our nation, and our region. But we're laser focused on continue our advocacy work, which is why we're interviewing wherever we can, which is why we go to communities, meet communities all around the world. This week, my sister and Omri's father in Portugal. I'm here in the US. My sister Lisha is meeting officials and spoke in a rally in Israel. So we do all we can to raise our plight and continue and demand for the release as soon as possible.
Moshe Lavi, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.